A great deal of the domestic violence stuff, it's actually generational rather than gendered. This is basically parent smacks the child, and child learns that violence is a very effective conflict resolution strategy. So, and also imprints on the opposite sex parent. So when they grow up, violent people tend to find violent people terribly attractive, and a great deal of domestic violence is reciprocal. It's between violent couples. Now, we have what we call the Duluth model of domestic violence, which is where if there is any domestic violence, you arrest the man, because obviously man oppressor bad, woman victim good. And the problem is that if you arrest the man, even if he has a knife sticking out of his shoulder blades and the woman has blood on her hands, it just means that you go to jail via the emergency room. If you take a violent man, or even a non-violent man, out of a family, it still leaves the violent family. Now, this is all based on research which is 40 years old. Someone called Erin Pizzey, who opened up the first domestic violence shelter in the world in Chiswick in 1974. And she found that of the first 100 women to go through her shelter, 62 were as violent as or more violent than the men they were with. So they separated out the violent women from the ones that they could help. And it is the recovery rates, once you start providing a little bit of support, other conflict resolution strategies, you remove external stresses like drugs, alcohol, poverty, etc. You can break this generational cycle, and you can stop domestic violence. You could actually do it in a single generation. And unfortunately, it came along just as the feminist movement was running out of steam, because they got pretty much everything they wanted on the law books. And they were looking for some business model which would allow it to perpetuate. And they decided, well, if we could actually keep the domestic violence thing going, it's a cash cow. And they ended up threatening her, banning her work. They shot her dog. The bomb disposal unit said that all their mail had to go through the bombs checking center, and she eventually ended up getting scared off and disappearing off to the States. And the feminist movement took over the domestic violence movement, and so basically they removed the man from the equation. You're in what is basically an indoctrination center when they're providing you with your domestic violence services for the first 3 months. If you have a male child who gets to the age of 12, you have to leave because he's a little rapist. And so basically, you perpetuate this domestic violence thing, and it carries on cascading down the generations. So feminism is actually enabling domestic violence. Whereas